House of Israel, this is your brother, ACHI'KA David, your host of Absolute Knowledge of Torah. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And hit that little bell at the top. It tells you when we do new videos and you get notifications. Hey, listen, I want to talk to you today just briefly about the word covenant. Okay? One covenant from a Western perspective and another one from an Eastern perspective. And what do I mean by that? The word covenant in the Hebrew is completely different than the word covenant in what they call the New Testament. Okay? I don't know if you know this, but the word testament is being used in lieu of the word covenant. Right? Covenant means an agreement. We all know that. But what you don't know is that instead of them using the word covenant, they replace it with the word testament. This is why they have the so-called Old Testament and the New Testament. And from their perspective, their covenant or their testimony has to do with the testament, and a testament has to do with the will, and a will has to do with instructions that are left in order for someone to receive their inheritance after someone dies. This is the reason why they call it the New Testament. The word that the Latins use is called testamentum. The word that the Greek use is called the diotheca. They both have the same literal meaning from a cultural perspective, meaning instructions for inheritance left after death. It is a will. Kind of like when your parents die, they leave you a will. Your grandparents die, there's a will, and you receive your inheritance. The reason why the New Testament was created is so the people that believe in this process, this death, this life, this death, and this resurrection will be able to receive their inheritance called everlasting life, which is called the kingdom of God. And it's given by a testator, which his name is called JC the Christ of the New Testament, or Yeshua, or whatever you want to call him. He could be white for you if you're a Caucasian. He could be black for you if you're a Hebrew Israelite. There's no difference. It has to do with death. Okay? The Hebrew word called berith has a whole different meaning. It's completely foreign to us that our covenant has to do with death. Our covenant has to do with life. How do I know this? Because the Most High made a covenant with Israel for life, for a land. And that's why he says, I remember the covenant. What covenant? He didn't say the testament. He said, I'm going to remember the covenant. A covenant, a pact, an alliance that he made with our fathers to give them land to them and their descendants after them if they would keep his laws, his statutes, and his commandments. Okay? I don't know if you know this, but the New Testament celebrates death. And they do it on an annual basis. Let's start with the feast of Pesach that they call Easter. Why do they celebrate it? They celebrate it because of the death and the resurrection of JC. They celebrate death. They celebrate the death and of the martyrs, and how Stephen was killed for the sake of the gospel. They talk about how Peter was, how he was crucified upside down and made him worthy. They talk about how Paul was, put to death, in Rome. They celebrate death. They want you to die for what you believe, right? Not that you won't have to, but if you don't believe this New Testament, then you don't have eternal life. You're called an Antichrist. I've been called that by people that claim that they love me. I've been called that by people who just don't understand the Hebrew Scriptures. They don't want to read the Hebrew Scriptures. They want to read the New Will, the New Testament. The New Testament also celebrates life in the death of winter. Like for example, December 25th and Christmas is the winter solstice when the sun supposedly, according to Greek and Roman mythology, dies and then raises from the dead like the Son of God. You get it? S-O-N versus S-U-N. So that's part of it. So they celebrate death. They celebrate the death of John the Baptist. He got his head cut off, right? So it makes him a martyr too. So I don't know if you noticed, but the whole giddy up about the New Testament and the whole church scene is about martyrs and death. And after you get killed, then that's when you could get the life. I mean, just think about Yeshua telling his disciples that this is the new covenant. And what was the new covenant? Oh, that you got to eat my body and drink my blood. Yeah. And if you don't eat my body and drink my blood, which is symbolic of his body and his death and his resurrection, and drink the cup of the blood, which is the New Testament, the new will, then you have no part with me. Right? Am I right? I mean, somebody tell me if I'm right or am I wrong. So what's going on is, don't be mad at me because you don't like the way I speak. Don't be mad at me because you don't like what I'm saying. What you need to do is look at what's being said. Do your research. You will find out that the idea of covenant from the Greeks and the Romans idea of it has to do with death. The idea of covenant between Yah and his people has to do with life. It has to do with the land. It has to do with inheritance. It has to do with children. It has to do with descendants. It has to do with carrying on the name. It has to do with being set apart for the Most High. That's what it's about. It's about fruits and vegetables. It's not about going somewhere high in the sky in heaven. It's living right here on the earth. Okay? Matter of fact, I don't know if you know this, but the New Testament is completely anonymous. And I mean the 4 Gospels. Do your research. That's why they want you to have faith, people. If you have faith and you believe, you got to believe in the anonymous. That's what they're asking you to believe. They're asking you to believe in the anonymous. Okay? The anonymous. What is anonymous? It means obscure. It means unknown. It means uncertain. It means all those different things. They need you to believe in that. Okay? The New Testament, a lot of those books, they don't even know who the authors are. That's why the church fathers named them. So how can you believe in something that they don't even know who the writers are? They don't even know who the writers are. So why are we stuck on this? Like, there's a guy that's going around talking about he's going to defend, Luke, because Luke was a Hebrew. How does he know that? They don't even know the church father's name Luke. And that was hundreds of years later. Look, let me let you listen to what this brother's saying. I don't want to badmouth him. I just want you to listen to what he says. Okay, here we go.
And then we're going to hold tight to that which is true, Zion. And once again, I stand to defend our holy manuscript and to defend the writings of Lucas,
He's going to defend the writings of Lucas. When scholars have said they don't even know who Luke is, and there are no eyewitnesses to the account that that's even him. You guys need to hear what I'm saying.
Our folk, do not let the heathen tell it. Luke was a Hebrew Israelite.
Who are the heathens? The heathens are the people that wrote the New Testament. I need you guys to understand. The Hebrew people were being persecuted and attacked by the Greeks and the Romans. Does anybody ever do the historical accounts and find out that we were not allowed to read the Torah, circumcise our children? We had to eat what they had. If we didn't, we were in trouble. They would kill us. Does anybody remember that? Or, they like to talk about the heathen like the heathens are not the ones who came up with the names for the New Testament. I mean, I don't get it, but let's continue.
He was a doctor. And yeah, I know people want to try to attack his writings. Let me tell you something. You start
right.
attacking Luke's writings, you're going to have to throw the whole New Testament in the trash.
You damn right.
Then after you throw the New Testament, you're going to have to throw Isaiah in the trash, Jeremiah in the trash. You're going to have to throw the Torah in the trash.
Do you hear what this guy just said? You're going to have to throw the Torah in the trash if you disregard Luke's writings, as if Luke's writings support what Yah said. Have you noticed how men are coming up with different books to say that supports what Yah says? Have you noticed how they're using the writings of the church fathers like Irenaeus and Eusebius and Tertullian and all these different people? Have you tripped off the fact that Athanasius, who was part of Alexandria, he was a bishop in Alexandria in Africa, how they came up with the first Christian writings? But these people are not the heathens. So I don't know who these people think the heathens are, but the heathens are the people that did not invite any Hebrew Israelite to the Council of Nicaea with Constantine to create Christianity. I don't understand why he doesn't understand that, along with a whole bunch of other so-called leaders in the house of Israel. Let's continue.
You're going to have to throw Micah in the trash. You're going to have to throw Joel in the trash.
Because of Lucas. We got to throw the Torah and all of our prophets if we disagree with a book that they don't even know who the writers are. They're anonymous. See, if you don't believe anonymous, then in that which is uncertain, then you don't have any faith and you don't have the Spirit of God.
Because all of the books that you hold dear to your soul, Zion, when you look at Luke's writing throughout the Bible, Luke put pen to paper according to his own testimony and eyewitnesses having a perfect understanding of those things which took place.
He's a damn lie. He is a damn lie. How could he say that he had eyewitnesses and put pen and paper to that which he witnessed, and yet this was written between 70 AD and 100 AD, which was 3 to 4 centuries later after the so-called death of a savior? Is nobody paying attention?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And let me tell y'all something. I will take the writings of Luke over any heathen alive today.
He's not only taking the writings of Luke over any heathen, he's actually taking the writings of Luke over Yahweh's own words. That's what you got to understand.
Breathing oxygen. Let me get a drink of water on that one myself. I said any heathen. I'll take Luke's writing over any so-called Israelite that's supposed to be woke right now, talking about they don't agree with Luke. That's
any so-called woke Hebrew Israelite. So what does it mean to be so-called woke? What do you mean? We're not woke unless we believe anonymous writings? We're not woke unless we agree with Lucas? Are you out of your damn mind?
problem. I read it and compared his writings to the writings of the rest of the Holy Manuscript.
So he compared the Greek writings to the Hebrew writings, and he said they match up. When we just found out that they don't, the ideas don't match up, the words don't match up. I mean, I don't know how you could get Berith to go into testamentum or diatheka. I don't understand it. With two different concepts. One that has to do with grain and life, another one has to do with instructions for inheritance after death. What the hell is he talking about?
And it does compare 100%.
Oh,
but
really?
You have to do, Zion. You have to become a student of the word.
Of the word?
You
Wow.
have to become dedicated to understanding.
If he was dedicated, he would go and find out when and where these testaments were written and authored, like I have, and found out that they weren't even named. They weren't even named until like 180 AD or 185. You guys kind of follow what I'm saying? This is what's being taught. Now, this guy has literally thousands of people that are following him. I'm not hating on him. I'm just telling the way it is. This is what you got to be careful of, because you got people out here like this guy that goes around and he says these things. He don't even know what he's talking about.
In all you're getting, get you understanding, Zion.
Sure. That's enough of that. I don't want to even go into anything else on that. I just wanted to share that information with you so you can listen for yourself, that people are willing to defend anonymous writings with no eyewitness accounts. The scholars will tell you that they don't know who wrote that book. And guess what? There are no other contemporaneous writings of Yeshua or Luke or any of these people. There's no other writings on Paul except for the writings of Paul. Do you guys understand what I'm saying to you? There's no other writings. There's no more information. And I just don't understand, how can we believe? You know, it talks about having faith. You know, you don't have any faith, brother. You know, you just don't believe. You damn right I don't believe. I don't believe anything that I can't see. Yah has made enough out here for me to look and see. I can see my captivity. I can identify with that. I can see the curses that are played upon the people of Israel. I can see that. I can see that in movies. I can see that all over the place. I can see that in different people's behaviors. I can see everything that the Most High said. I can see that, you know, we're in a place where, we're not really free to do what we want to do. I can see the destruction of families. I see, the separation of families. My family, I had a broken family because no one wanted to follow the Most High's words. Well, they didn't know. Well, you know what? They had the Bible. And guess what they did? They would rather believe than to do. That's what happens when you're on this faith deal. So be careful about what you believe. Okay? Because you're really believing something that's anonymous. The writings of the New Testament is anonymous. No one knows. They're uncertain. All the scholars, they don't even know who wrote them. And this is a story in the foundation of your faith about a life and a death and a burial and a resurrection. So you can get an inheritance that doesn't exist. They don't tell you about Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They don't tell you about the land. They don't tell you about Yah bringing you back to the land, do they? Talking about we're going to make you right because everyone sins. Well, like I said in one of my other teachings, Cain, Yah went to him and told him, it lays at your door, but you can control it. So all of a sudden now, Yah lied to him and told him he couldn't control sin. He just made that up because he knew the New Testament was coming and going to be written by the people that hate him. And the people that hate his people. Come on now. Are you for real? Listen, Israel, listen to Yah's voice. Look, I want to tell you one last thing before I go. It's in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter number 4. All right. And this is when Moses was about to bring the children of Israel, the second generation, the ones who didn't get disinherited. Because since we're talking about inheritance, I thought this would be appropriate. Chapter number 4, verses 1 and 2. It says this, now Israel, listen to the laws and the rulings I am teaching you. Israel, I am teaching you in order to follow them so that you will live, not die. Then you will go and take possession of the land, L-A-N-D, that I gave to you, that Yahweh is giving to you of your fathers. He's the Elohim of your fathers is giving you, right? Verse number 2. You better listen very carefully. He says, in order to obey the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, which I am giving you, okay, comma, do not add to what I'm saying and do not subtract from it. In order to obey the commandments of Yah that I am giving you, do not add to what I'm saying and do not subtract from it. Did you hear what he just said? If you read it too fast, then you will miss what he just said. What he's saying, Israel, in order for you to obey the commandments, there's the two things that he tells you not to do in order to obey his commandments. This is a rule. This is a commandment. Do not add and do not subtract from it. And that's the problem with our people. Our people would like to have an added addition to our book called the Hebrew Scriptures. They want to add writings that are anonymous, that were named by the church fathers. They are disobeying Yah's commands. When you add to what he said and when you subtract from it, there's no way that you can obey his commandments the moment that you do that. The moment that you add or subtract, that's the moment that you're not obeying. And then we go right over that. That's the moment that you and I can no longer obey him, is when we add to what he said or subtract from what he said. House of Israel, this is a teaching for you and for your family and for your children and your children's children. Do not add and subtract from what Yah said, from the words and the rulings and the teachings that we were given by Moshe. In order to obey, do not add or subtract. In order to obey, because if you don't obey, okay, then you're going to die. That's just the way it is. All right. So I also want to introduce you to a class that I'm going to be holding or hosting on Shabbats. The Most High has moved on me and wanted me to instruct his people. And so I'm giving a class on ancient Hebrew language and learning how to read Hebrew, learning how to write Hebrew, learning how to speak Hebrew, all those different things, but giving you more of an agricultural background and where the language origins come from. So it's called the Ancient Hebrew Origins. And so I'm going to be doing that. It's for free. It's going to be on Shabbats from 10 to 2. And, I'm looking forward to hosting that. I'll have the Zoom information up here for you so you can take a look at that. And, hopefully you'll be able to come in and attend the class. With that being said, I say to you, shalom. And again, shalem, because we are being paid back for our disobedience to the Holy One of Israel. And so I would say Shabbat Shalem. Yeah, praise the Holy One. Being whole and being paid. Because if we never got paid, then we're never going to have shalom. All right, so I'll see you guys until next time.